What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Afros in the Diaspora. And today we have Idris Lawal. He's an incredible Afrobeat musician here in Canada, North America, doing his thing. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the
Yeah.
intro. Appreciate you.
Yes. Happy to share space with you as well. Like this virtual world that we're in
Yeah.
will not embarrass us in the name of
Amen.
Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to start as usual with some icebreakers and trivia from your motherland. Idris,
Okay.
you're Nigerian,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So are you ready
Yes.
for
I haven't been back up in a while, so let me just have it.
so what? Did they not teach you your let me go. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay,
We're about
shoot,
to
shoot.
start. About to start. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Look at me like
Yeah,
getting ready like I really
the anticipation is building. My heart's like goo goo goo.
Okay. So who is on the 10 naira notes?
Oh. Namdi Azikwe? No?
No.
Okay, not a good start. That one I didn't prepare for.
No. And then okay, okay. Do you want to try again?
10 naira or you said $10?
Look at your
10
face.
naira. I
Didn't
know
didn't
it.
dollars
Yeah,
they use in your
yeah.
country? Look at this one. I was talking about 10 naira. Whose
Oh
face
my
is on the
God.
10 naira
Oh,
notes?
rough start. Okay, I don't know this one. Wow.
Alvani Koku.
Albany Koku. Okay, 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 okay.
Do you want to give another try for what note Namdi Azikwe is on?
No, next question. Next question. Next question. Let me not let me not embarrass myself any further. Woo.
It's all good. It's all
Oh,
good.
tough start.
Top start. No,
You know
no.
I'm a independent artist. Don't see money often, so I don't know who's on who's on the bill.
That level of self diss I have not seen in a while.
Yeah, 10 naira. I don't know.
Okay. Who was the first and only prime minister of Nigeria?
This.
Should I give you options? I have four options for you.
Yes, give me options. Yes,
Yeah.
multiple choice.
Yes, multiple choice, yes. We
Yes.
have Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Amadu Bello, Namdi Ezekwe, and Yakubu Gowon.
So you'll stop about Alaji
Yes.
Tafo. Lewa.
Clap for yourself.
Woo! Okay, 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 okay.
You're
Okay.
back.
I'm back. I'm back. Let's
All
keep
right.
the momentum.
What are the two major religions in Nigeria?
um, Islam and Christianity.
Yes. When okay, let me try. Let me shake you. Let me
Up the
shake you
level.
small
All
with
right.
this one. Who composed the Nigerian national anthem? One options.
Wow, as a Nigerian and as a musician, I am terribly. I can sing it though. I can even play it on piano, but who asked me who composed it? I don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
give me options. Give me
Should I give you
options.
options? Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A. Taiwo Akinkunmi. B. Ben Odiase. C. Lillian John Williams. D. Flora Shaw.
It's Bell Giase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But he goes
Yes.
by a different name.
Oh, what's the different name he goes by?
I think it was like Pa Odiase or something like that.
I know.
Anyway,
That's his
yeah,
pa
yeah,
Ben
Papa.
Odiase.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
Same thing.
Two
Same
out of
thing.
three.
2 out of 3. Okay. 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 Nigeria is intersected by which two major rivers?
Atlantic? Is that right?
What'd you say?
Atlantic?
Is Atlantic a river?
Oh, you said river, river, river.
Yeah, the two main rivers in Nigeria. Should I give you one, then you guess the other?
Yes, yes, yes. Give me one.
River Niger and River
Delta? No.
Niger Delta. Was that
Yeah.
what you,
You see, that's my mind. Just my mind.
you just went straight for Niger Delta? No, River Niger, River Benue.
River Bedway. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
Okay. Listen. Um. 2 out of 4. Okay.
2 out of 4. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Not a
No, I think
pass.
it was three out of right. 3 out of the total.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Who's keeping
man.
score? No one is keeping score.
No, Felicia, people don't come.
All right, you're good. Let's try. Like, I'll do maybe three riddles. Very simple. You got this. Okay.
Okay.
What word becomes shorter when you add two letters to it?
What word becomes shorter when you add two letters?
Yeah. I'm sorry that I laughed. It's the answer is funny.
What word becomes short? Oh, short.
Yeah.
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 Woo!
What gave it away?
I don't know, but well, the laugh first, I was like, okay, the answer is I don't need to overthink it because overthinking is what would do me in. And
Yeah.
then, funny, when I go to work, the coffee store that's near my work, they have a riddle every day, and if
Oh
you get
really?
I think you get like a 20% discount to solve the riddle. So my brain has been doing riddles
Lately, you've been
often,
trying
yeah,
to save
lately.
that buck.
No,
Got
like I
you.
said, dependent are.
Stop. Okay. What has four eyes but can't see?
What has four eyes but can't see? Mississippi?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah?
Look at
Okay.
you. Look at you. Good job.
See, good with words. That's one thing.
You're a lyricist, so to be
Yeah.
expected. Okay, let me give you this final one. You'll probably also get
Just
it.
started with this.
It'll be awesome.
All
All
right.
right. So take away my first letter, and I still sound the same. Take away my last letter, and I still sound the same. If you take away the letter in the middle, I still sound the same. I am a five-letter word. What am I?
Is it empty?
This boy, I'm going to go and look for
No,
explicit
no,
word.
no, no, no. That one has been trending on Twitter where it's like, it's empty, and then they take away one letter and it's empty. Anyway, Sha. Yes.
Hey, say like
Three out
this
of
one is
three.
null and void.
Three
This
out
one
of
is null
three.
and void. I'm going to go and look for
Yes.
another one for you.
No,
I'll
no.
go.
When you clip it, make sure you clip just those three parts that I went back to back to back.
Yeah, you're redeeming yourself for sure, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what has one eye but cannot see?
One eye but cannot see. The alphabet.
No, I, E-Y-E.
Oh my God.
Going, going,
Okay, pass.
needle.
Oh my God. Wow. I see what you did here. A
Yeah,
doodle.
it's a needle.
Okay.
But this was awesome. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for
3 out of 4.
playing
Is
this
that a
game.
record or what?
Um, yes, let's say
No?
it's a record. Let's say it's a record.
Okay.
Let's say it's a record. But yeah, this was really cool. Okay, let's talk a bit more about your story. Like, can you talk us through your immigration story? Like, how you ended up, because you were born in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So tell us just the story of how you moved here, relocated, whether it was by
So
yourself, with your family, or what the process was like.
I was fortunate enough to for my parents to have kind of done this earlier, so I was a kid. Anyway, I was in Nigeria until I was 10, 11, and then we relocated to Doha, Qatar through my dad's job. He worked for a company as an accountant, and they had other branches globally. So he would just find an opportunity, go through the process of applying, and eventually get the job. He would move for a year before us get settled, and then we'd go join him. And we did this 3 times. First to Qatar, and then I moved to South Africa when I was around 16, and then I moved to Canada for university. So while we were in when I finished high school, obviously started applying for university across the world. But at the same time, while I was in high school, my parents, and it's just, thank God for their planning, but also thank God for like making everything kind of like align.
Hmm.
But they also applied for a permanent residency. And the year I got accepted into university, we also got our permanent residency approved. So the timing just worked out.
Yeah.
Thank God. And then I moved to Ottawa for university, and then Toronto, and then now I'm in Calgary.
Yeah. Welcome to
Thank you.
Calgary.
Yes, yes. Happy. I mean,
um,
we haven't landed. We landed here first, and then I went to Ottawa and stuff. But happy to be back.
well, welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
So, what was, because you lived in a few different places, what was the journey then? Because, like I introduced you earlier, you're a musician, you are
Yeah,
an Afrobeat artist based here in North America. What was your introduction to Afrobeat? I know that's like a weird question to ask like a Nigerian because
yeah,
like it's literally, but I mean, growing up, it wasn't really called Afrobeat, but it
no,
essentially was. And over time, as it evolved, the style and everything, and it got a name, and people
yeah,
started calling it Afrobeats. And
yeah,
but what was your introduction to the music scene and to Afrobeats as a just your journey into music?
for sure, yeah. And like as it stands today, I mean, like Afrobeats comes from Afrobeat, and that was founded by Fela Kuti, and that like we all grew up listening to Fela, obviously. So
Yeah.
and then I will say like definitely as I moved around growing up, um, obviously couldn't get access to it. This was before Facebook, Twitter, um, how to get access to like Nigerian music. So I'd say like I want to go back and start with my actual introduction into music itself in general first, because it's kind of like a journey. But my introduction into music, funny enough, came while I was living in Qatar, which is a Middle Eastern country, and but for me, it was just being a black person in there, and it was around the same time that I would say hip hop culture was really starting to become popular through like G Unit and those guys. I was wearing like 3XL t-shirts, baggy pants, but um, I think it was just me trying to find my identity as a black person, and obviously just taking in pop culture, taking in the music. So I fell in love with I'd say hip hop music, and I really started out as a writer, spoken word artist, but also like a true lyricist, like a rapper. And then where was it? And then like as I grew up and I moved around, I kept focused. I kept doing hip hop music. I'd say it was around 2019 or so, 2020, which was as you grow older, you kind of, and I think a lot of Africans do this, they try to refine themselves or reconnect with their African roots or African culture. But at the same time, it also and it's like alignment again. It was around the same time Afrobeat started getting global recognition. So not only was I like searching for Afrobeats and trying to reconnect, but Afrobeats was also connecting to the world as well. So um, naturally, I think my music just like I started listening to more Afrobeats. It took me back to my roots and my culture. But then as a musician too, I'd say a lot of musicians get influenced by what they listen to, and naturally, honestly, my music just gravitated naturally into Afro beats. Lyricists and rap became, um, melody and vibes and stuff like that. But definitely, I feel like my music, like words wise, it's still very much hip hop lyrics focused. But I found a way to turn that and make it, put it in my own African dialect, I guess, for lack of better words.
Yeah, just find like a way to infuse hip hop with Afro beats, and that just became your medium of expression.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really
And
cool.
like I call it Gidibop because I know I'm not making true Afro beats, and I want to be respectful to that.
Of
Um,
course.
I'm also sometimes as a Nigerian artist or even as an Afrobeats artist, I'm not in the diaspora like Afro's in the diaspora, but I'm not in the African diaspora right now as well. So
Yeah, so like you're
um,
not in Africa,
I'm not in Africa, so
right?
I'm not trying to. I know, like you have to be very intentional, and I don't want to claim Afrobeats just because it's trending right now, So
Yeah.
I'm trying to be very intentional as well. So I mean, I recognize the Afrobeats influence, but I wanted to like, and I know my music is just different, so I wanted to find a unique way to describe my music. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I call it Gidibop.
Gidibop.
Gidibop, yeah, it's Giddy, which is my most recent EP was Giddy Water, which is obviously short for Last Giddy,
Right.
and then obviously Bop. So
You
yeah,
have to define bop for us.
Bop is that swag, that bop, the bop is the vibes. It's a bop.
Lagos vibes, essentially.
Exactly.
Gidibop.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah. But
cool.
it's also honestly like I think it's just like I love music and I love all kinds of music and I think I incorporate all forms of music into my music as well, and it just allows me to call it something without having to say I'm a rapper or I make rap music or I make hip hop music. I have a country song demo. I have a rock song demo that
Okay.
that have been demos. So I've tapped into creating other genres as well. So it just allows me to
Amazing.
play across other genres all under like one umbrella, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, because all those your style within all those genres are still very much influenced by Afro pop, but they're not
Yes,
Afro beats, like
Afrobeat. Yeah,
Afro
exactly.
bop. That's
Yeah,
I mean,
I used to call it Afrobop actually. That's what I started calling it in 2020 when I released my first project, and I called it
right,
Afrobop.
right.
But then honestly, I saw some people, I'm not gonna name names, but some people started also claiming Afrobop and the genre, and it was just like I think like I work in marketing too, and it was like it became like when I searched Afrobop, it's not it wasn't a term I could own, and it's like
Mm,
my own content would actually get lost into. There were now events called Afrobop. There were other artists
right.
saying they make Afrobop music. So I also wanted to find something that if you search for, you could like easily find my music as well.
Okay, so you're telling me now if I search for Gidibop
If you search for Gidibop on like Instagram,
on Instagram.
you'll it's definitely gonna be my music. Like I don't think anyone else uses it. No one else uses it though.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're like, this is mine.
This is mine.
Don't
Yeah.
you dare.
You know what? Like I don't after this, I'm probably gonna go copyright that.
I mean, do
Yeah.
it. But that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that and like your journey, because it's so interesting. Like, and this is something I hear from a lot of people, especially folks that moved from very young, like the early 2000s, out of Africa. Finding that journey of finding identity, because you look around there like, well, there are not a lot of people that look at like me from here. Who am I? Where am I from? And that journey
Yeah.
into like, self awareness and identity kind of begins. And the North American black aesthetic or black identity is the seems to be the loudest
Yes.
one. So
Yeah.
it's what people really like start to look
For now.
towards for now.
Yeah, I
For
think hip
now,
hop culture was pop culture, and hip hop is very much Black American culture.
yeah,
But I think Afrobeats is, and like I think Afrobeats is starting to become pop culture globally, which is a beautiful thing
globally,
too. So I think Nigerians are becoming the loudest.
yeah. I mean, West Africans, Africans in general,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just
Africans and
like
West Africans in
finding,
general.
and it's so powerful too with folks like trying to find their way back, right?
Yeah,
Literally, like because we're all from the continent, like and so especially with ancestry.com and all those things
yeah,
becoming more and more prevalent, and you just see people that, did you know I'm 40% Nigerian? And this is like a person you will look at, and on looking at them you would not
Joe
expect
Pros.
that. And then you just sometimes I get I get such information from folks, and I'm like, oh really? And yeah. And then there's the Afro beats. Did you know Whiskey? Did you know Burna Boy? I'm like, yeah, I know these guys.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's just so interesting, like how you're right, like it's becoming a worldwide. I mean, it is. And it's only becoming bigger and louder, which is awesome.
yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. So next, how, because you are a Nigerian man from a Nigerian family, so I need you to just talk about what that process was when you told your parents that I would like to be a musician. Like, what was that process? What was that journey like? Were they like, "Oh yes, my son, you have my blessings," or were they like, "My friend, will you go and pick up your mathematics textbook?" Like, what was what was the vibe?
It's. I mean, so I don't think I ever outwardly had that discussion with my parents and said
Hmm.
I want to like be a musician. I think I just started doing it, and for them it was like as long as you have a job and
Oh,
you're
okay.
paying your bills. And so, I've always had the 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
and and also at the same time doing music as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
think for them it was always as long as you have a job, as long as
Mm-hmm.
you have a job. But I mean, I definitely know um, when I started, it was there was an unspoken like like not disagreement but caution, I guess is the right word for it. Um, and there's also like there's a lot of reasons for that just from us being Nigerians, like go be an accountant, which I think is changing now. Everyone wants Project Mbappe now. Everyone wants Project Osimhen now. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that was the vibe. And then also I think there's also like especially like as a Nigerian, there's a bit of a pressure on like I'm the firstborn. There's a bit of a pressure on being the firstborn as well, and it's like
Right.
you have to be a good example for your siblings as well. And I always wanted to do it, and it's not like I don't feel bad about it. I think it made me better, and I love that. I love being able to like influence and be a good example for my siblings as well. So
Right.
I think for that, that's why I also kept the 9 to 5. But it's gotten to a point now where I think my parents see that one, thank God I say the more you do something, the better you get at it, and they see that it's not just I'm not doing music just to do it. It's actually like I love it and I love consuming it. I love creating it, and like it's my dad has said, like we can tell when you don't make music for a while, you're not happy. So I think they've just accepted it, and they've accepted that I'm a musician as a person, but um, if I today, definitely if I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit my job and do music full time, I'm sure it's like World War III for sure. So,
Yeah.
but I'm happy for like in some ways it always pushed me to just to be a better person, and I will say that like the 9 to 5 pays for the music, so it all worked out.
Yep, don't we know it? And like
Yeah,
that's the balance, especially like as a newer artist, where as you grow your career and you're putting yourself out there, like I mean, some people just jump out in the deep end,
for
and
sure.
amazing and wonderful for folks that are able to do that. But I think that there's so many factors. And shout
Yeah,
out shout out to parents because they really truly like have no ill intentions. They just want to make sure you're going to be
you're good.
good. Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
you're going their child is going to be able to live a life where they're comfortable. You're not going to be homeless or begging for
exactly.
food or you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
good parents don't want that for you, right? So like the concern is always, always from a really, really good place. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you're like, well, this is kind of sort of my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just finding the balance between like honoring them, I
Yeah.
guess, and still like living out your life, and fulfilling your own purpose. And
Fulfilling your
and
own purpose, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think every job is a purpose, but some like I'd say, and maybe I might be biased, but music is not like it's more than just a job. It's like if anyone you create art, and like when you like as in your art as well, it's like it's a part of you. So it's tough like telling someone like I always joke and say, you don't ask Superman not to fly. So
yeah.
um, it's like if and it's like I'm also like Muslim, so there's that religious aspect as well.
Hmm.
And it's like, and this might be blasphemy, but I've said it. It's like this skill and talent is God given. So it's like
Exactly.
if I wasn't supposed to do it, why can I do it?
Yeah, you wouldn't have
So
it.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I mean, Superman had a day job.
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, true, podcast, truth.
Clark Kent with the sunglasses
The
and the shirt,
sunglasses, yeah.
and then no one knew who he was.
Honestly, comic book logic is crazy. I'm a big comic book nerd. DC, Marvel,
Oh, okay.
all of them. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely the caution as a young person
Hmm.
going into that is definitely needed. And I mean, like I think about certain situations as I've grown up, especially
Hmm.
when I first moved to Canada and meeting certain people and like almost like for the love of music, almost fallen into the wrong crowds. And now looking back at how, for some reason, like there's been times where it was like my parents just being like, I'm telling them about, oh, I met this cool person, and they want to like help me in my music and stuff. And when I tell them about that person, they just like they have a bad feeling about it. And I listen to my parents, so I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, fine, I'll maybe distance myself. And then
Yeah.
later on, I see that yes, something bad did happen, and I could have been caught up in that. So I
Hmm.
like, there's definitely been situations where I'm like, okay, thank God that either I showed caution because of what I've been taught, or
Right.
someone else forced that caution onto me.
Onto
But
you. Yeah.
it's tough as a young person. But yeah, no. Um,
Yeah. And again, I've heard. Um,
what have you heard?
with just no, and like I'm not really calling out any particular situation. I'm just saying that like I've heard, and people have come on social media too as well to kind of like talk about. the music industry. And I know, again, like, it's you're emerging, you're growing, and as you grow, the bigger you get, the more you see things with your eyes,
Exactly.
you
There's so
know.
much we don't know.
There's so much you don't know until you know, and then you're like,
Yeah.
why do I know this?
Why do
Like,
I know this? Yeah. How
it's
do I
literally,
unlearn this?
how do I unlearn this? How can I control Z, like, delete
Yeah.
this,
Control
like,
Z for real.
yeah. But yeah, no, can you talk about your experience as a person making music inspired by Afrobeats, just even as a black man in the
Yeah.
world? Like, you moved here, and I'm sure you had your own culture shocks and, things that kind of helped form you as a person.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say, or how would you say that being a black person in Canada or in North America has influenced your identity?
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Wow.
That's a good
Great
question,
question.
right?
Great question. Yeah.
I was like, does it?
I was
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
wait,
Perfect.
let me
Awesome.
think. I think one is like you said, like American culture is so loud, and I feel like for example, when I moved here, there was a choice to go to here or move to the States, and I don't know, like I may be wrong, but I feel like if I was like for example in the States, I think I would have much quickly assimilated into adopting the American hip hop culture. I feel like being in Canada to some degree has let me be African, and that makes sense for being Nigerian. Well, also much earlier than like I think now it's easier, especially as Afrobeat becomes more global. It's easier to adopt that identity. But I mean, I know friends in the States, for example, who almost hid their identity as a Nigerian or as an African, and try to adopt the American Black culture. So I think that's one thing. It allowed me to really truly be myself and be African and be Canadian. And I think that's speak to the diversity. You know, you go to events and you'd have like, especially when I was living in Toronto, you'd have the Indian people there showing up in their like, you know, the Indian girls that showed up in their saris, the men showing up in their outfits. You have um, the Nigerians, the Africans all showing up. You know, I've been to events where you have a Scottish guy showing up in a kilt. So I
Oh, heck
think
yeah.
that diversity and acceptance of your culture allowed me to find myself as an Afrobeat or as a yeah, just identify myself and represent myself properly. Um, there have been some negative experiences, not negative experiences, but um, I don't know if it's just a Canadian thing or a global thing, but I find that like as a black artist, especially as a black independent artist, I get a lot of opportunities around February and Black History Month, and a lot of people messaging me. And you know, like my first ever project was called Young Black and Blue, and this was in 2020, and it was around the time of at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. Also, the NSARS movement was kind of around that time as well. And I'm not gonna lie, like I got a lot of opportunities which was very, very cool. But as the year tapers off, those people, there's less emails answered, less opportunities, less offered. And then January comes in and then those emails start rolling in as well again. So there's been that. Um, Also, Canadians are very stereotypically nice, and there's a silent conservativeness here. So, for example, um, I've had songs where I had a song called Wallflowers where it's an ode to kids who fell victim to police brutality, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of that, and I mentioned names and in Black History Month, for example, and this is I'm not going to name the actual station, but I got featured by a radio station, and then they heard the song, and they heard the song. I don't know if they heard the song before they asked me if they featured me, or they just featured me because other people were I was in the media, but then they featured me and they wanted to premiere a song, and then they heard the song and they were like, oh, um, it's a Sunday morning. That song is too heavy for the people that are listening, and it was just a very weird conversation. So I think that's the subtle. It's not racism. Like I don't want to just throw out the R word, but it's definitely like conservativeness or ignorance or unconscious bias or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think those are two ways. It's like one, it's the good thing has allowed me to like just it allowed me to truly be confident, especially earlier in my life. I'm not that old, but as you know, as a 20-year-old trying to grow and older, it allowed me to be confident in identifying as a Nigerian and as an African. But on the negative side, there's still a subtle conservativeness. that affects the opportunities you get or the expectations that people have. Um, and then also, Canada is huge. And so from Toronto to Calgary is 4 hours, for example. So that connection just um, there's so many beautiful black like talented people here, and then there's so many beautiful black talented people in other regions as well, but we don't connect often, and there's that exchange of information. I mean, there's African identity is one thing, but the Canadian, like, you have to accept that the Canadian African identity and experience is different from just being an African, from just being a black American.
Hmm.
But I feel like in Canada that identity is not almost shared as well as it could because travel isn't as convenient. But hopefully that's getting better. I think that's getting better. When I first moved here, flights from Toronto to Calgary were like $1,000, but now they're like, if you book it early enough, $400 or $500. So it's getting better.
It's getting better. Not just in ticket prices,
Huh?
not just in the prices,
Yeah.
but yeah, you made a few like great points.
Yeah,
Like
I
that.
rambled.
Yeah, no, that's completely fine. Like that's what we're here for, to hear
Yeah.
you and hear your thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Um, and during February, like the Black History Month, you're not the only one, and it's not in your
Yeah.
head. Like this is a thing where like black artists, black creatives, spoken word artists, musicians, like stories get to be told and get a stage on that one month
Yeah.
where people are booked, which is absolutely amazing as they
Yeah.
should be, right? But I see after that Black History Month, they're like, it kind of almost feels like, you know what, we did our part,
We did our part. Yeah.
we've done it 1 month. Okay, so
Yeah.
now for the remaining 11 months, I'm still an artist. I still do this the rest of the year.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
what happens next? And those opportunities sometimes really, really are just super hyper focused on that month. Oh, let's do the thing. We got to do it. Oh, if we don't do it, then there's the, like you start to get that sense. And then Black History Month ends, and then it's like, wow,
Yeah.
crickets.
Now what? Hi everyone. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
representation for representation purposes, but um,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's kind of unfortunate, but at the end of the day, humans are we're grateful for the opportunities that we do get, hoping that we get more and trying to make it happen for ourselves
Yeah.
too, right? Um,
Yeah, the organizations too. Like I think just in Canada, there's a lot of things like festivals and things that have, like in Toronto, Ottawa, there was
mhm,
Folk Fest, and that was just historically a folk festival, folk music festival.
right,
Stampede here in Calgary was historically just focused on country music, but last year,
right.
I heard last year they had an Afrobeats artist. I wasn't here yet, but
Yeah, I think that was Adekunle Gold. Or was it
Adekunle
Adekunle
Gold,
Gold?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's like Stampede having Adekunle Gold blows my mind.
Right,
Folk Fest was where I first saw like Kendrick Lamar at Folk Fest.
right.
The first time I saw Snoop Dogg was at Rock Fest. So all these, they're those historic like festivals and opportunities.
Hmm.
Like I think just people are opening up, and those opportunities are opening up. Hopefully beyond February, and I think
Yes.
it's not just the music getting that global recognition. I think it's also just like there are more black people in those spaces making those decisions as well.
Yes. Thank
So you
God.
have I know a few black people working with Stampede as well. So
Hmm.
representation across all levels,
Hmm.
people making decisions helps us get those opportunities year round as well. This is
Yeah.
just one for 1 month.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, that's very, very well said. And it's more than just having black artists come and perform, like having people of color, not just black people. There are, all sorts of, minorities, people from all over the world that
Yeah, exactly,
here in Canada.
exactly.
But specifically, like, because we're talking about Black History Month, just having black people or people of color, other minorities in having other minorities in positions of power where they get to influence and they get to make choices and decisions, and just kind of break through the status quo of having only white folks perform, or only white and white stories or white
Yeah,
opportunities for white folks, and like, well, there's a whole spectrum of other people that
yeah.
that deserve opportunities that are also good, that can, if only given the opportunity, they will you
They would,
know,
yeah,
it'll
yeah,
be
the
absolutely
sound
perfect for them.
technician, a catering company.
Yeah,
Like there's so many
exactly.
places where like
The
there should be diversity
souvenirs.
everywhere, you
Yes,
know. So
exactly. From
I've
top to
been to like
bottom.
I've been at a shoot where the first shoot I ever had makeup done, and like I was like, okay, cool. I see. Like I was like acting different after the makeup. I was
I
like, and it was
bet.
just like light touch too, and I was just like, oh wait, what? You know. But um,
Right.
anyway, that wasn't the point. The point was that it took a while, even though it was just a light touch. The whole crew, there was not one person that looked like me. So it was like
Mm.
you're supposed to get a barber and get a haircut right before, but I was like, no, this person's not touching my hair. You know, like they
Yeah.
would know. So there's little things that just anyway. I don't want to like ramble and take this on a negative spin.
No, no. I mean, like we're talking about what the reality is.
Yeah.
Like 100%, we're trying to like spread positivity, 100,000%.
Yes.
But we also cannot like ignore the reality.
Yeah.
I think
Fair.
that we can absolutely like talk about the reality of what's around us, and still be hopeful for even better, and celebrate the things that are, happening right
Changing
now.
and happening
You know,
for
that are
sure.
changing
Yeah.
exactly. So I think it's possible to do all of that at the same time. Now, let us talk about your discography. Let's talk about some of the music that you've put out there. Let's talk about
Cool.
because I believe that every song or every album builds on the next, builds
Yes.
on the previous. How's the saying?
Builds on the previous.
Yeah, your
That
new
sounds more
work,
correct.
your new work builds on the last one that you did, and it
Yeah.
just keeps on building from there. That was a brain glitch,
You got there.
but we
You
arrived
got
there at the end of the day.
there.
But yeah, no,
Monday
would
brain.
you be able to talk us through it? You
Yeah.
mentioned Young Black and Blue, which was your
Yeah.
first
So
album.
yeah, that was my first album EP. It was a 7 song project. It was um at this point I'd always been like a writer, but I'd never actually dabbled much in recording professionally, but I also hadn't dabbled in producing as well. But I was blessed to produce 5 out of 7 of those songs, and I would say that was around the time I was like truly my hip hop self was finding my Afrobeat self, and I think that's evident in the music. It's very much um, hip hop focused performances, but then there's like a underbed, or there's like it's on a bed of like Afrobeats elements.
Hmm.
And that was it was a cool introduction into my music. So it was Young Black and Blue, very much my world experience as a black man, but also just my view into what it was like for what the black experience was globally as well. And you know, it was partly everything was going on in the world. I was making music as well, and you know, as an artist, you just represent the time, I think. So
100%. Yeah.
um, I released that in June 2020. Um, and then I released a second song, my first single after that EP was called Wallflowers. This was, like I said earlier, it was a dedication to people who fell victim to police brutality. Um, First of all, before I jump into that, double back and say shout out to a few people who helped me on Young Black and Blue. I had my friend Sydney, who was a singer, and my friend Jelani, who was a saxophonist, and they were very much like my second and third voices on that project. So you hear them across the entire project.
Mhm.
The other 2 producers on the other 2 songs, Antoine and Q, who also mastered the work as well. Just a quick shout out to them.
Shout out.
Wallflowers was my next single, and that was very much that was like a growth for me because one, first of all, the song was dedicated to victims of police brutality, but the music video, I think it was the first time I truly wanted to the music video to represent the lyrics, and I think I'm becoming more of a visual artist as well, and making sure like because I think it goes hand in hand. Like I write lyrics and you're painting pictures, and just having those pictures truly represented versus just being a performing, you know, taking a video where I'm just performing the song and
Mhm.
calling that a music video. So Wallflowers was very much I worked with a friend Tyra, and you know we had very visual graphic elements. In that I bled blue, like literally I died in the music video, and there was blue blood from Young Black and Blue. So just
Mhm.
having those very graphic visual elements just to truly represent the dire situation about the song is about. Um, my next project was Giddy Water, which I released in 2022, and I think In between, so Young Black and Blue and Wallflowers is 2020, 2021, and in between 2021 and 2022, I truly, truly immersed myself into um, not just like Afro music, but also there were a lot of events, and this time I was also in Toronto as well. So like events like A Freak Like Me, Caruza, yeah, it was like, my experiences with like going out and partying was you go to a club and you listen to like hip hop music for the most part, but these were events where you go and they're playing Afro-house, Afrobeats, Amapiano. Everyone is wearing like Africa Like Me as a Halloween event. We are what Adbada to the event, and it's like Adbada at the club with like those a
Right.
masquerade events. So just a safe space to truly enjoy African music, immerse yourself into it, and when you're doing that every weekend, again, your music naturally. So that was when I definitely took that step and really started making what I now call Gidibop music. But Giddy Water was a little bit more of a different subject. It was um, themed around love, obviously inspired by personal experiences, but also just
Who gave you breakfast to eat? Who served you breakfast, Mr. Idris?
cast last time. Oh. But yes, it wasn't breakfast. It was Giddy Water.
That's so.
um, but I don't know. It's like it's hard to like make Afro beats, and like Young Black and Blue was a very deep and personal project, and it actually took a lot out of me. And I think not only I wanted to have a little bit more fun with the music, but also I still wanted to reflect my experiences. And I don't know, like if you listen to like Last for example, that's a breakup song, but it's so enjoyable and danceable. You go back to like Premier Gao, that's such a like that's also a breakup song, but it's like such a
Ah,
people are
so
dancing
you're the
to
one
it and
serving
stuff.
this breakfast to people like this.
No, no, I'm just saying like the context of the songs may be like sad or whatever, but you're still gonna dance to it, and that's what I truly truly loved about Afro music. I was dancing a lot during this time in my life as well, so I wanted to make music that I could dance to as well.
I've also
Um,
seen you perform, man. You
yeah,
literally,
and
you
I
have,
dance when I perform too,
you
so if I
dance a
if I
lot. Your
can't
feet are like happy feet. Like
yeah,
you
happy
really
feet,
get
yeah.
down to it. Yeah.
So yeah, so
Which is
it doesn't even
awesome.
it felt natural. It was just like I'm listening to all this music, and every time I listen to this music, I just can't help dancing.
Yeah.
Like I wanted my music to make me feel that way. So naturally, um, yeah. So Giddy Water was a 4-song EP. It was fully produced by Q. I was a friend in Toronto. Shout out to him. And the whole theme was there's a place called Giddy Island, which is like a fictional in my head. It's a fictional magical island where just all forms of love is accepted, all forms of music is accepted, anything goes kind of. And but the whole theme is love is like water from the islands of Giddy. So I'm building this whole I'd say world around what I call Giddy Island, and Giddy Water was kind of my first introduction to that. So it was just like drink the water sometimes. Water is, fella said water has no enemy. It heals you, but also it can do the opposite of that,
Drown
right?
you.
So
Yeah.
they can drown you. So that was kind of the theme on that project, but it was a very cool project. Um, and then since then, I say I've been releasing singles, um, as well as right now I'm focused on visuals. So I released "Look What God Made," which was the first single from Beauty Water. I released a visual for that earlier this year, and my goal moving forward is I think I want to like focus on singles and really work on as a project you're not limited but you're trying to fit this theme, but singles I think I just want to work on my songwriting. um Allowed me to focus on the visual aspects of my project, but also I think just have fun with the music for a little bit and not try to stick to a concept, be stuck to a concept. So yeah, 2 EPs and a bunch of singles out right now, and about 3 music videos, but um, all as an independent artist. So very proud of that, and you know, I'll take the help, but
Yeah.
I'm like as a kid, like a lot of people, like all I wanted to do was be able to like make music that I enjoy listening to, and I can definitely say I'm doing that now. I might not be doing it full time or whatever, but I'm doing that now, so I know like I'm definitely making my younger self proud, and
Heck yeah.
I'm very happy about that. Yeah,
Cheers to that, man. Like
yeah,
being someone that your younger self can be like, hey. proud of, and
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
just absolutely incredible. Do you see yourself doing it more full time in the future? Slash, it's a two part question, and this
Yeah.
we'll round up with this. But do you see yourself kind of moving towards like doing it full time? Also, how do you manage? How do you manage? Because I can only imagine like music. I mean, I don't. I can only imagine because I'm not a musician
Yeah.
formally.
Yeah. What was the music
In
name?
my bathroom, I sing a lot, but like it. I can only imagine that the rhythm is in your head, and you could be working at your office, and
Yes.
then a lyric thing just hops in your mind, and you go, I gotta
Yes.
write that down. Like, what is
Yes.
that like? Like, how do you combine both? And do
Um.
you see yourself moving towards a more full time focus on it?
Right. Well, the first question, I'm always writing, and again, that's like the hip hop lyrics background. So it could be I could be doing it. I could be at work. I could be at a meeting, and like a lyric could pop up, and it's like I'm taking notes, but I'm actually writing the quick lyric down. But I mean, I'm very respectful of the places I'm at, so I'm not gonna like try to finish a song in that moment. People like talk about intention, inspiration, and when you get that inspiration, I think it's important to like write it down. But I truly believe in like intention over inspiration. So I know like some people will like they I know people who don't make music until that inspiration moment comes to them. And I've also been there as well, but I try to change my mindset, and I'm just like it became a set the intention. And like a few years ago I started to practice. I had it on my calendar 7 p.m. write daily lines or write daily lyrics, and it was just like even if it's just 4 bars, like the alarm will ring and boom, I'm quickly writing it down. I'm home at this point, and that's like gotten me to a place where it's if I sit down and say I'm gonna write a verse, I know for a fact like I don't need to be inspired. The words will come out. It might not be the best words, but at least it got out. So, and I think that's just like being intentional about things, but also just setting a habit. It's like music is it's art for sure, but and this kind of dives into the second question. If you truly want to make it something serious and make it a career, it's important to also build good habits around it, especially for those people who also have other careers and you have to build around that as well. It's very important. I'm blessed, like I work in advertising, so I'm blessed to also be in a space where it's a creative, it's an inspiring, or it's a creative environment as well. So that also helped me. I think I changed my mentality a little bit. Like I wake up every day from like, oh, I have to go to work. That used to be me. It's like, oh, I have to go to work. I'd rather just make music or whatever. But now it's like I wake up and it's like, okay, what can I learn at work today that could help me make either my music or my music business a lot better. So, um, yeah, so that and 4 or 5 hours of sleep every day, which is
Oh,
not healthy, but you know, yeah, and like I've definitely had moments where it's like you burn out, you take a little break, and so it's like that's the other thing. So it's important to like we're artists, but we're also human beings first. So
100%.
I just started reminding myself that it's important to like if you got to take a month off. I used to be like, if I take a month off, I'm gonna forget how to write. I'm gonna forget how to like sing or whatever. But again, it's just like it got to a point where it's like now I know like this is my superpower. So if I take a month off, I can come back into it, and it's just like riding the bike, and I get back into it. So that's allowed me to be a better human and just take care of myself a lot better versus everything before everything I was doing was just for the music, and which is not a
Right.
healthy way to live.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I definitely see it as a career for sure, and I think with
Oh, it
like
is a career. I
it
just
is a
wonder if
career,
like
yeah,
when.
and I will definitely be making music. I like honestly into my 50s, uh,
Okay.
for sure, because it's like especially when you grow up with hip hop, like they used to joke and say hip hop is a young man's game. You shouldn't be rapping until you're 36, but I think there was a little bit of a that's stupid because at the same time you had like the Paul McCartney's releasing song in their 50s. You had Celine Dion who was still like touring or whatever, but for
Mm.
some reason, people were saying,
Mm.
and even there's a little bit of that sentiment in Afrobeats now. It's like, oh, you're old, leave it to the young kids. But if you truly want to see something as a career, you should see it as long term. And I think that's changing as well. Like Jay-Z just released a project 444 and he's almost in his 50s as well. We've seen legacy acts, like Sonny Okosu, we've seen like this certain legacy acts. Miriam Makeba, is that Miriam Makeba? Is that
Makeba.
her name? Yeah, yeah. She's still like touring globally as well. So seeing these artists do this in long term. Um, so yes, I will definitely be making music in long term, but I don't know if I'm going to be doing it if I'll ever do it full time because I have other like interests in other projects as well. Um, a little bit of a teaser as well. I've been working on as I was diving into Afrobeats and stuff like that. There's a bit of a project I've been working on that dives into. So I spent like the last 3 4 years just researching like truly like how the history of Nigerian music and how it grew from. I have a timeline that I built, and it's like the 1700s to today. How it started from Kaiso, which was just a culture in before Nigeria was even named Nigeria. It was just a culture, and that eventually traveled, influenced like calypso music in the Caribbean islands. Even came down to influence like blues, if like ultimately influenced hip hop as well. Ultimately traveled back to Nigeria, influenced through Caribbean music, influencing palm wine music, influencing highlife music, which ultimately influenced Afrobeat as well. So um, I have this like crazy timeline in this project, and I think it's like as Afrobeats becomes a very popular genre and becomes I think part of pop culture history. There isn't necessarily like a hub or a domain where you can really go and one place where you can discover the history of the music. And I did that for myself as I was just learning about the culture, but I think it's a bit of a long term project and something I want to build um, around. I don't want to call it an agency, but like a storytelling company as well. And I think that's like because of my marketing background as well. So um, I don't think I will ever be a full time musician, but I think I'll be making music and also working on other artistic projects that still revolve around music, but I'm not necessarily like a musician. Um, but you have plans and God has plans. So whatever God has planned for me,
Mhm.
I'm open to it and I'm enjoying the ride and I'm just blessed at the end of the day to be able to do what I love doing. So
Yeah, and like I really appreciate your honesty because there seems to be that like pressure
yeah,
of if you're not doing it full time, well, are you
are
really?
you doing?
You
No,
know,
it's like come
and I
on,
don't
yeah,
believe that. And I saw this
yeah,
saying that even if you make art as a hobby, you're still an artist. Even if you make
yeah,
art, and even if you take a break from making art for your own mental health or all the
yeah.
thousand other reasons, you're still an artist.
Yes,
And
other artists,
you know,
yeah,
there's no one who gets to say that and define that for you except you, right? And so it's really incredible that you've also done a lot of like academic work that artists are not famous for doing.
yeah.
You know
I'm
what
a
I mean?
researcher by heart
Yeah,
too, so
yeah, to just kind of do the academic work and do the research of like, wait, this is Afrobeats and it's becoming humongous. Where did it start from? And kind of
yeah,
doing that work
exactly.
for yourself to trace down the history. Like that's hard work, man. That's like deep diving,
It is,
work.
yeah.
Like, because not everything's on Wikipedia, right? So shout out to you for doing that.
Thank you.
And yeah, incredible. I look forward to you rapping in your 50s.
Hey, hey, man. We are still doing happy feet and footwork.
Yes, do the happy feet, do the footwork, do it all. Like, yes, life is for the living, so let's enjoy
Yes,
it,
yes.
right? Amazing. Thank you so much, Idris, for
Thank
just
you.
coming on this and sharing your story and answering all my questions.
Yeah, and can I say shout out to you as well? Like
Oh,
again, like not only are you an artist as well, but you've built this platform that is, amplifying other artists and amplifying our voices as well. So, again, like I said at the beginning, it's a pleasure to share space, and yeah, shout out to you.
thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Okay, before we go,
Yes.
we need a word of advice from you, Mr. Idris. Just
Okay.
sprinkle a little bit of wisdom on
You know
us.
what? I already said it, and I'm gonna say, um, do what you do best. And this is not so. This is one of my favorite quote from Mac Miller, and it's so simple. Shout out to Mac Miller, rest in peace. It's so simple, but I've never heard anything so succinct. And he just said, "Do what you do best because that's what you do best." Um, so, and I live with that. I wrote that on a little sticky note, and I have
Mm,
it on my door in my room. And it's like every time I wake up and I'm leaving my room, that's the first thing I read. Um, So yeah, just do what you do best. And consistency. It's not if, it's when. That I totally believe that. So just keep doing it
Yeah.
and listen to Giddy Water.
And listen to Giddy Water. Please do let us know where we can find your music, where we can find you
Yeah.
on social media, on
On
streaming
all social
platforms.
medias, at Idris Idris X, the letter X, and then Lawal. That's my last name. Lawal. My name is Idris Lawal. On music is on Spotify, Apple Music, uh, Tidal, Audiomack,
Everywhere.
SoundCloud, everywhere, YouTube. Also my website, idrisxlawal.com. Yeah, say hi.
Yeah. And what is your social media? Oh, did you just say that?
Yeah, Idris X Lawal. Are you even listening?
I'm listening. I'm so sorry.
I'm joking. No, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I just wanted to make sure because I was kind of spelling it out in my head. Idris
Yeah.
Xlawal, and I'm like,
Yes.
plus your website. Okay, yes,
Yep.
yes,
Idris X
y'all,
Lawal.
go listen, go stream, and people will see announcements of like performances and stuff like that on there.
Yes. Yeah. My next performance is May 24th in Calgary.
Okay.
Um, I will be sharing space with Shadi Awele, who was also a very, very dope Nigerian artist as well. So it's going to be a true Nigeria event. So
Okay.
more to come.
That is awesome. All right. Again, Idris, thank you so much. This has
Thank
been
you.
awesome. And to our listeners, thank you for sticking with us through this episode. We'll see you next time.
Yes.
Bye.